Today, I wanted to talk about a story that has been in multiple sources in the past couple of days. A Congressman Duncan Hunter, a Republican of California, has made the claim that he and lots of people took pictures with dead bodies over in Iraq and Afghanistan. This comes when he was trying to defend a Navy SEAL chief, Eddie Gallagher, who, among his various
The guy's
accusations,
name's actually Gallagher.
yep, Eddie Gallagher.
All right.
So he's accused of stabbing to death a wounded Islamic State prisoner of war who was a child of 14, of sniping civilians, of shooting randomly into buildings, as well as taking photos with corpses and using a corpse as a prop during his reenlistment ceremony. So clearly, he's a good dude.
This is
Um,
the
that's
the
the
uh,
Navy SEAL
the Navy
guy.
SEAL.
Yeah, and the Representative Hunter's remarks were made in defense of that. There's actually a video on Twitter of him specifically saying, and this is the quote: "Eddie did one bad thing that I'm guilty of too, taking a picture of the body and saying something stupid. I've taken pictures just like that." He went on a little later, and I couldn't find a good video of it, but he then also said, like, yeah, like lots of people do that, like it's totally normal. Um, and this was all because he's been a big proponent of like we need to pardon Gallagher or drop the charges or yada yada. There's just a bunch going on here, but two of the things I wanted to point out is that lots of the Navy SEAL chief's subordinates actually tried to report him on multiple occasions. Seven guys, in fact, they went to their lieutenant, they went to the next guy up, the next guy up, and they kept being told like essentially it's not your problem, don't worry about it. So finally, they threatened to take it to the news media, and it then started to receive some attention, and the Navy actually ended up bringing up charges and things. But the military engenders this environment of, how did I phrase it in my notes here? Aggressive, dominant, alpha male assholes. And it's not surprising that they want that. They want the guys that can go in and they need that type of person for what they're doing. However, there's guys like Gallagher that take it way too far or do really bad things. So from previous research I've done, this type of behavior is not common necessarily, but there's enough people doing it that um, most of the people who have been in combat or have been on the front lines, they know people that did it. They've seen it. They were present when it happened. Um, in the barracks, apparently, I was reading a Rolling Stone article a while ago where it's really common for soldiers to pass around USB flash drives with movies and these pictures of dead bodies and et cetera, et cetera. So even if they weren't in a combat unit, chances are they probably saw these things. Um, I want to finish up here basically with, the military has actively in the past hidden war crimes and atrocities from the public. And so even though it's not every soldier, I think a lot of people are aware of it. Howard Zinn quoted a Colonel Orrin Henderson, who is related to the My Lai killings in Vietnam, as saying, "Every unit of brigade size has its My Lai hidden someplace." And so I think for me, this is just more proof that these things are going on. It happens, and it's not like almost nobody does this. Like that's why veterans don't talk about their experiences, is because they know the guys out on those battlefields do really fucked up things, and the military covers it over and nobody talks about it. I think that's kind of it for my comments. I mean, what do you feel about this? Like, as someone who hasn't done the same level of research, just hearing about this, how does that make you feel, or what do you think?
Um, Unfortunately, I have done some research on, particularly the American military's propensity for committing pretty savage war crimes. So this type of behavior is not it's not a new thing to me in the sense of this isn't the first time that I'm hearing about the military as a rule whitewashing and otherwise treating or spinning these war crimes and acts of like raping and pillaging. But the reason that I think it's good that we make this video is that what we have here is an elected American official who is unironically endorsing this behavior as normal in his capacity as a lawmaker. And that's a level of normalization that I think is criminal. But it furthers the narrative that war is itself a blanket justification for the suspension of moral principles, i.e., it's all right that soldiers throw puppies off cliffs or execute Iraqi citizens or do double taps, which is where they kill a bunch of people and then come back around and kill the first responders so that nobody knows about it. This is what was revealed. This is why our government is right now trying to pass legislation as a result of this Assange story in order to curtail the ability of whistleblowers to divulge exactly this type of information. And here we have a spineless piece of shit American representative who is saying, let's just treat this behavior as though it's an inescapable reality of war, under the umbrella assumption of war being this thing that can suspend moral responsibilities, making it so that war becomes a place where morality is one of the last things that you're thinking about, as though it's not as important as other things like survival and loyalty to country, etc. But I would say that war is the ultimate test of one's moral caliber. Do you defeat the enemy and then also shoot the fucking civilians and rape their wives and do other things that create a level of hate and resentment that a simple military defeat would not? And evidently for American soldiers, the answer to that question is, yes, I defeat the enemy and then I kill the civilians, rape the women, imprison children, and commit these other crimes, and then ostracize or otherwise look down on people who are willing to criticize those behaviors. It's very difficult in America to criticize the military, just in general. It's been that way for most of our lives, at least. Since 9/11, for sure, it's been really difficult to criticize the military anywhere that I have lived in the Midwest or on the East Coast. So I know this has gone on long, but we kind of knew that going into it. So those are the remarks that I think I'll make on the topic for now. And I don't think this type of behavior should be normalized. I think the guy that did all those crimes is a garbage person, a piece of shit, a disgrace. And I think was it a House representative that said this?
Yeah, I believe so.
Well, they're a piece of shit too. What's his name? Doesn't matter.